It is Good Friday, 2023, and as I promised, I'm going to read a little on Crowley's notes on the third chapter of the Book of the Law. But before I do, I want to read what he says about the Book of the Law just in general. This book is the foundation of the new aeon, and thus the whole of our work. In this revelation is the basis of the future aeon. Within the memory of man, we have had the pagan period, the worship of nature, of Isis, of the mother, of the past. The Christian period, the worship of man, of Osiris, the present. The first period, that was of Isis, is simple, quiet, easy, and pleasant. The material ignores the spiritual. The second, Osiris, is of suffering and death. The spiritual strives to ignore the material. Christianity and all cognate religions worship death, glorify suffering, and deify corpses. The new aeon is the worship of the spiritual made one with the material. I'm going to repeat that. The new aeon is the worship of the spiritual made one with the material, of Horus, of the child of the future. Isis was liberty, Osiris bondage, but the new liberty is that of Horus. Osiris conquered her because she did not understand him. Horus avenges both his father and his mother. The child Horus is a twin, two in one, Horus and Harpocrates. Horus and Harpocrates are one, and they are also one with Set, or Apophis, the destroyer of Osiris. It is by the destruction of the principle of death that they are born. The establishment of this new aeon, this new fundamental principle, is the great work now to be accomplished in the world. Generally, the Book of the Law claims to answer all possible religious problems. One is struck by the fact that so many of them are stated and settled separately in so short a space. It reconciles cosmological conceptions which transcend time and space with a conventional historical point of view. Now that simple sentence describes two different aspects of the Book of the Law, and it reconciles them both. So I'll say that again so you can know what those both are. It reconciles cosmological conceptions which transcend time and space with conventional historical point of view. And remember, this was 1904. that it was being dictated. Now, what has happened between 1904 and now? Just look at the world like a newspaper would look at the world. Flip the headlines from 1904 to now and see what that conventional, historical point of view is. In the first place is cosmological conceptions that transcend time and space. In the first place, it announces unconditional truth. But in the second, is careful to state that the magical formula or system of principles on which the particular part of the book is based is not absolute truth, but one relative to the terrestrial time of the revelation. It's a strong point in favor of the book that it makes no pretense to settle the practical problems of humanity once and for all. It contents itself with indicating a stage in evolution. And it's that concept that we need to keep in mind when we try to deal with the significance of the third chapter of the Book of the Law, especially. Also, we need to keep in mind that Crowley, as a person taking the dictation, is also having thoughts of his own. And those thoughts are being answered, being responded to real time in what becomes the seeming narrative of the text itself. So a good example is this. This is how the third chapter starts. Remember, the first chapter starts Had, the manifestation of Nuit, and the second chapter starts Nu, the hiding of Hadit. And this one starts Abrahadabra, the reward of Ra-Hoor-Khuit, K-H-U-T. Now, until now, we've been dealing with Ra-Hoor-Khuit, K-H-U-I-T. And now it says, the dictation is saying, the reward of Ra-Hoor-Khuit. Or at least Crowley heard that as Khuit. And he thought to himself, what the... Where's the freaking I in your Khuit? Wait, what are we talking about? I'm confused. And the next line is, there is division hither homeward. There is a word not known. Spelling is defunct. All is not right. All is not aught. Beware, hold, raise the spell of Ra-Hoor-Khuit. Now we can read all sorts of shit into that, all you want, okay? But it may have been just triggered by that one little question in his mind. Hey, you're spelling it wrong. Okay. Here's what Crowley says, and I'm reading from the Equinox of the Gods. I put away the 1936 edition upstairs because I was beating it up. Okay, but what are books for? You got it. Okay. Verse 1 appears to complete the triangle begun with the first verses of the previous two previous chapters. Had, the manifestation of Nuit, Nu, the hiding of Hadit, Abrahadabra, the reward of Ra-Hoor-Khuit. That's the triangle. It's a simple statement involving no particular speaker or hearer. The omission of the I in the name of the god appears to have alarmed me, and in verse 2, Aiwass offers a hurried explanation in a somewhat excited manner and invokes Ra-Hoor-Khuit. Now, verse 3 is spoken by Ra-Hoor-Khuit. Okay, and I'll read it for you. Now let it first be understood that I am a god of war and of vengeance. I shall deal hardly with them. So that's spoken by Ra-Hoor-Khuit. Them is evidently refers to some undescribed enemies, and ye to those who would accept his formula. Now let it first be understood that I'm a god of war and vengeance. I shall deal hardly with them. Okay. This passage ends with verse 9. And verse 9 is, lurk, withdraw upon them. This is the law of the battle of conquest. Thus shall my worship be about my secret house. Verse 10 and verse 11 are addressed to me personally. Okay, I'm going to read those to you. Get the stele of revealing itself. Set it in thy secret temple, and that temple is already aright disposed, and it shall be your Qibla forever. It shall not fade, but miraculous color shall come back to it day after day. Close it in locked glass for a proof to the world. This shall be your only proof. I forbid argument. Conquer, that is enough. I will make easy to you the abstruction from the ill-ordered house in the victorious city. Thou shalt thyself convey it with worship, O prophet, though thou likest it not. Thou shalt have danger and trouble. Ra-Hoor-Khuit is with thee. Worship me with fire and blood. Worship me with swords and spears. Let the woman be girt with a sword before me. Let blood flow to my name. Trample down the heathen. Be upon them, O warrior. I will give you of their flesh to eat. So verses 10 and 11 there are addressed to me personally and to the Scarlet Woman, as shown in the continuation of this passage, which seems to end with verse 33. And verse 33 is quite a ways away there. Verse 33. That ends up with, be ready to fly or to smite. Though it is left rather vague at the time as to whether the beast or the beast and his concubine or the adherents of Horus are generally exhorted. 34, verse 34 is a kind of poetical peroration, which is not addressed in particular to anybody. It's a statement of events to come. But your holy place shall be untouched throughout the centuries, though with fire and sword it be burnt down and shattered. Yet an invisible house there standeth, and it shall stand until the fall of the great equinox, when Hrumachus shall arise, and the double-wanded one assume my throne and place. Another prophet shall arise, and bring fresh fever from the skies. Another woman shall awake the lust and worship of the snake. Another soul of God and beast shall mingle in the globed priest. Another sacrifice shall stain the tomb. Another king shall reign, and blessing no longer be poured to the Lord, to the hawk-headed and mystical Lord. Verse 35 states simply that section of this chapter is completed. I seem to have become enthusiastic, for there's a kind of interlude reported by Aiwass of my song of adoration, translated from the stele. The incident parallels that of chapter 1, verses 26, etc. And this is where it says, I adore thee in song. And then the quotation paraphrase from the stele of revealing is inserted. It is to be noted that the translation from the stele in verses 37 and 38 were no more than instantaneous thoughts to be inserted afterwards. Verse 38 begins my address to the God. So that thy light is in me, and its red flame is as a sword in my hand to push thy order. There is a secret door that I shall make to establish thy way in all the quarters. These are the adorations as thou hast written. As it is said, okay. So 38 begins my address to the God in the first sentence, while the second is his reply to me. He then refers to the hieroglyphs of the stele and bids me quote my paraphrases. This order was given by a species of wordless gesture, not visible or audible, but sensible in some occult manner. Okay, 39 through 42 are instructions for me personally. All this in a book to say how thou didst come hither, and a reproduction of this ink and paper forever. For in it is the secret word, and not only in the English. And thy comment upon this book of the law shall be printed beautifully in red ink and black upon beautiful paper made by hand. And so each man and woman that thou meetest, were it but to dine or to drink at them, it is the law to give. Then shall chance to abide in this bliss or no, it is no odds. Do this quickly. But the work of the comment, that is easy, and hadith burning in thy heart, shall make swift and secure thy pen. Establish in thy Kaaba a clerk house, all must be done well and with business way. Now, 43 and 45 through 45 indicate the proper course of conduct for the Scarlet Woman. And now, and many of us, from time to time, are a bit confused whether this is talking to the woman in general or who, but Crowley, even at the time, is thinking, well, this is like a few other things. It's a personal message to me. So this is, let the Scarlet Woman beware and let her raise herself in pride, etc. That's verse 43 for 45. And the verse 46, which is pretty wild and bloodthirsty, is again more general, a sort of address to soldiers before battle. And that is, I am the warrior lord of the 40s. The 80s cower before me and are abased. I will bring you to victory. I will be at your arms, etc., etc. Okay. 47 is again mostly personal instruction mixed up with prophecies, proof of the praeter-human origin of the book and other matters. And I'll read that, 47. This book shall be translated into all tongues, but always with the original in the writing of the beast. For in the chance shape of the letters and their position to one another, in these are mysteries that no beast shall divine. Let him not seek to try, but one cometh after him, whence I say not, who shall discover the key of it all? Then this line drawn is a key. Then this circle squared in its failure is a key also. And abrahadabra, period. And abrahadabra. It shall be his child, and that strangely. Let him not seek after this, for thereby alone can he fall from it. Verse 48. Oh, let me go back to what he said about 47. It is again mostly personal instruction, mixed up with prophecies, proof of the praeter-human origin of the book and other matters. I observe that this instruction, taken with those not to change so much as the style of a letter, etc., imply that my pen was under the physical control of Aiwass, for his dictation did not include directions as to the use of capitals, and the occasional misspellings are most assuredly not mine. Of course not. 48. Now this mystery of letters is done, and I want to go on to the holier place. Verse 48 impatiently dismisses such practical matters as a nuisance. 49 through 59 contain a series of declarations of war, and there is no further difficulty as to the speaker or hearer to the end of the chapter, although the subject changes repeatedly in an incomprehensible manner. Only in verse 75 do we find a peroration on the whole book, presumably by Aiwass, ending by his formula of withdrawal. The ending of the words, 75. The ending of the words is the word abrahadabra. The book of the law is written and concealed. Aum. Ha. Now, in all fairness, and I apologize, I didn't read the entire text of chapter 3. We'd be here all morning. But I have on my Facebook page, and you can find it on YouTube, my reading of chapters 1, 2, and 3, with the captions of the text superimposed on the front. And you are welcomed and encouraged to play that, listen to it, meditate to it. Also, starting on the 8th and continuing on the 9th and the 10th, I'll be posting Constance's reading of the 3 chapters. I hope you enjoy that too. Anyway, until tomorrow and the start of the feast of the 3 days of the writing of the book of the law, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.